been given. And as before it starts, I'm going to describe, this was taken October 30th of 2024. This video is of an MQ-9 drone tracking an orb, or this object, off the coast of Yemen. You'll see that another MQ-9 launched a Hellfire missile. That you cannot see that drone. And so I'm not going to explain it to you. You'll see exactly what it does. This is when it zoomed out. So you can still see it traveling.
I'm sorry, what? What?
It bounced off it.
Yeah, it looked like it bounced off. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Dion here.
And Shawn's here.
Yeah, with my buddy Shawn. All right, so I know we're kind of, let's just say, trying to get back to regular updates. I actually had a very close family member here staying with me. And unfortunately, the best place we could find to have her was directly blocking my computer. So I wasn't able to do any videos the last few days, but I still got to spend time with my aunt. Shout out to Sharon Leday. It was great having you here. So Shawn has parsed this video, and the video is of a hearing they just held, I believe, in September.
I think it was September.
Yeah. So we covered a hearing previously where they talked about UFOs, or now what they're calling them is UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. And it's just a fancy word for it flies and we don't know what it is. Now, allegedly, none of these things belong to the United States government or any other foreign government that they're willing to admit, allegedly. Also, on this, aside from this UAP deal, they're also talking about doing whistleblower protection, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so we're gonna jump right into it here, but I wanted you guys to see that was allegedly, again, I don't know, I didn't take the video, but who was that was talking?
That was Representative Burleson.
Okay. I have no reason to doubt him.
No.
He says they fired a Hellfire missile. I think he'd probably know. I think his staffers probably were able to authenticate that video and say, yeah, this is legit. So a second drone, one is recording, a second drone off screen fires a Hellfire missile, and this thing just keeps going. It just shrugs it off.
It like bounced off it.
Yeah, that's concerning.
Yeah.
Especially if, as they claim, they don't know what these are or who controls them. That might make for some interesting stuff. Did you see, along that same vein, I don't know if they covered it in this, but there are also a significant number of reportings of, I guess they're called something else, but they underwater.
Yep.
They just plunge right in the water. Do they talk about it? Okay. So we're going to jump right in. We're going to start actually with Representative Luna, which is that's for the what do they call them? Gentlewoman from Florida.
Yep.
She's kind of the chair of this, right?
Yeah.
Kind of started this, right?
She's the chair.
All right. So let's see here. Okay. All right. And here we go.
Welcome to the hearing regarding UAP disclosures. For too long, the issue of unidentified anomalous phenomena, commonly known as UAPs, has been shrouded in secrecy, stigma, and in some cases, outright dismissal. Today, I want to state clearly that this is not science fiction or creating speculation. This is about national security, government accountability, and the American people's right to the truth.
I agree
I've
with that.
spoken now to a number of whistleblowers from the military, to include the infamous Eglin Air Force Base incident that occurred when myself and former Representative Matt Gaetz, as well as Representative Burchett, followed up on a lead from multiple active duty Air Force pilot whistleblowers that alleged that the United States Air Force was covering up UAP activity at Eglin Air Force Base. We have heard from a number of whistleblowers, specifically military pilots, that the reason for not coming forward publicly is out of fear that speaking out would cost them their flight status and potentially their careers. This is unacceptable. We cannot protect our airspaces if our best trained observers are silenced. We cannot advance science if we refuse to ask questions. And we cannot maintain trust in government if we keep the American people in the dark. Now, Congress has tried to fix this problem. Congress tried to create formal channels through the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, also known as AARO, and the Intelligence Community Inspector General for service members and officials to make disclosures. But the reality, the reports come in are often to brush aside, slow-walked, or met with skepticism rather than serious investigation.
I mean, she's not wrong. We've heard from, I know I've seen during the last video we did about these hearings on this. The whistleblowers and were literally saying they blew me off. They blew me off. They nuked my career because I even said something about this.
There's a witness on this hearing that talked about that.
The same
Really,
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So our next featured guest is
Crockett from Texas.
Crockett from Texas.
Yeah, she's the ranking member. I don't have her speak very well.
Okay. Personally, I find her extremely annoying, but we got looks like about a minute and a half on her. Here we go.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. At a time of increasing distrust in government, it is important for Congress to take action to restore the government's credibility. Bringing transparency to an issue of great public interest is a step toward doing just that. So I thank Chairwoman Luna for calling this bipartisan hearing to discuss unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAP, which is today's term for what was commonly known as UFOs, unidentified flying objects. And
So I guess it's not an unidentified aerial phenomenon now. Now it's unidentified anomalous phenomena. It's an unidentified moving object, whether it's flying, underwater, or whatever.
It doesn't really matter.
You call it whatever the hell you want. Ultimately, it could be a problem. And I mean, a legitimate problem for national security if what they say is true.
while some people think of flying saucers when they hear these terms, it is vital that we focus on the real-world impact of UAPs on critical infrastructure, civilian safety, and national security. There is good reason to believe that most UAPs have origins far closer to home. Currently, NASA has not found any evidence that any UAPs have an extraterrestrial origin. Our adversaries are working to develop new capabilities to gain military advantages, and those efforts are likely explanation for the mysteries that we have observed.
Reading is hard. Hooked on phonics worked for me. I like making fun of her because she gets on my damn nerves and says some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard come out of somebody's mouth. But in this instance, she was accurate. More than likely, this is someone terrestrial. We don't know who or like the allegiance they're in, but yeah, more than likely. Could be a secret government program. It could be all kinds of stuff. But based on what we're being told by our elected representatives, we don't know. Well, that's a
what they keep
problem.
saying.
That's
Yeah,
a
what
damn
they keep
problem.
saying.
All right, so we're going to jump forward to the swearing in and introduction.
I am pleased to welcome the panel of witnesses for today's hearing. I'd first like to welcome Mr. Jeffrey Nusatelli. He's a United States Air Force veteran and a career federal employee with more than 20 years of experience in national security, law enforcement, and public administration. Next, we have Mr. Alexandra Wiggins. Mr. Wiggins is currently serving as a Senior Chief Operations Specialist in the United States Navy. Mr. Wiggins is testifying in his personal capacity today and not on behalf of the United States Navy. Next, I would like to recognize the gentlewoman from Nevada, Representative Titus.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman, ranking members, for allowing me to sit with you on this panel today. I'm honored to be able to introduce a witness here who is from my district, George Knapp, who has been the definitive expert and reporter on this topic that you're exploring today, UAPs or UFOs. George is a longtime friend. I would say that.
I love that accent. I always have. I grew up in the South, and anytime I spend time around my aunt, I have to actively keep myself from reverting. So it's very, very easy for me to just drop back in. I got to watch that.
Up
Have you
front,
heard this
but I
report before?
I have George Knapp. I've actually read a number of his articles regarding UAPs. That's generally what he focuses on, but he's done other investigative journalism in the past, I believe.
Okay.
But
I've
I
never
found
heard-
him extremely interesting and
Okay.
credible as far as I could tell. So
very respected journalist and a recognized expert in this field nationally and internationally. Just a little something about George. He came to Las Vegas in 1979 and joined KLS television station as a general assignment reporter in 1981. Since 1995, he's been the chief investigative reporter for that channel. He also hosts a national radio show you can listen to on Coast to Coast AM, which covers many of the paranormal topics that y'all are discussing. Over the years, George has been, as I said, recognized for his work. He's been honored with the Peabody Award, the DuPont Award, the Edward Murrow Award, and 27 different regional Emmys for his investigative reporting. Indeed, he has told Nevada's story with clarity, with objectivity, and with integrity. So I know that his testimony today is going to be of great interest and value to this committee. So thank you very much.
Next, we have Mr. Dylan Borland. Mr. Borland is a United States Air Force veteran and has a long career in federal service. And finally, I'd like to introduce Mr. Joe Spielberger, a senior policy counsel at the Project of Government Oversight. Pursuant to Committee Rule 9G, the witnesses will please stand and raise their right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and the nothing but the truth, so help you God? Let the record show that the witnesses answered an affirmative. Thank you. You may take your seat.
okay, we'll jump ahead to. I already forgot how she said it. Nucatelli.
For his opening statement.
Then that's at the 40:46 mark. I passed it up. Close enough.
I messed that up.
Did you?
I did.
Well, anyway, do you want me to go back and go back
I
to?
must have. What if I?
How far do we want to go back? Do you want to do the whole?
Just do the whole thing.
The whole. Okay, so
I
that
think
was
that's what I meant.
from right here. That's okay.
We appreciate you being here today, and I look
Shawn
forward
said
to
just
hearing your
1 minute.
testimony. Let me remind the witnesses that we have read your written statements, and it will appear in full in the hearing record. Please limit your oral statements to 5 minutes, but I understand you have a lot to get through, so if it goes a little over, don't worry about it. As a reminder, please press the button on the microphone in front of you so that it is on and the members can hear you. When you begin to speak, the light in front of you will turn green. After 4 minutes, the light will turn yellow. And when the red light comes on, your 5 minutes have expired, and we will ask you to please wrap it up. I now recognize Mr. Nusatelli for his opening statement.
Nusatelli. Okay, I'll try to remember that. Nusatelli.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairwoman Luna, Ranking Member Crockett, and members of the task force for giving us the opportunity to testify today. My name is Jeffrey Nusatelli. I'm a former military police officer with 16 years of active duty service in the U.S. Air Force. I'm here today because the American people have both the right and the responsibility to know the truth about unidentified aerial phenomenon. That truth remains hidden, classified and silenced by fear, retaliation, stigma, and confusion. Today, we are here to help break that silence. Between 2003 and 2005, 5 UAP incidents occurred at Vandenberg Air Force Base, home to the National Missile Defense Project, a top national security priority.
Yeah, kind of.
At the time, we were conducting launches deemed by the National Reconnaissance Office as the most important in 25 years. These were historic launches. These facilities were vital, and they were repeatedly visited by UAP. Each incident was witnessed by multiple personnel, documented, investigated, and reported up the chain of command. We sent information up, but we got no guidance down on how to handle these events. I personally witnessed one of these events and investigated others as they occurred. 6 other service members have provided me with the information that I will share with you today. The incursions began on October 14, 2003, when Boeing contractors reported a massive glowing red square silently hovering over 2 missile defense sites. After several minutes, it drifted further east onto the base and vanished over the hills. This event, now known as the Vandenberg Red Square, was referenced by Representative Luna at the first hearing on this topic.
Right.
Official Air Force records of this event are in possession by Aero and the FBI.
Okay.
Later that night, while I was on duty, security guards at a critical launch site reported a bright, fast-moving object over the ocean. I responded to the incident. Chaos ensued over the radio as the object approached rapidly. I heard my friends screaming, "It's coming right at us, it's coming right for us, and now it's right here." Moments later, I heard them say that it had shot off and was gone. When I arrived on scene, I talked to 5 shaken witnesses who described a massive triangular craft larger than a football field that hovered silently for about 45 seconds over their entry control point before shooting away at impossible speed. About a week later, another patrol reported a light over the ocean behaving erratically. Believing it might be an unannounced aircraft, they declared an emergency, and an armed response force responded. Before the forces could arrive, the object descended and either landed or hovered on our flight line and then took off again at impossible speed. The witnesses to this event were threatened and intimidated afterward. They were told to keep quiet and think about what they were reporting. After that, things did get quiet until about 2005, when another patrol reported a massive triangular craft larger than a C-130 silently floating over the installation. We watched it for a few minutes. It traveled west and disappeared into the night. And then I had my own encounter. Again,
What's that?
It's not working.
What's not working?
We're not on the air.
I'm gonna pause. Okay, I think potential cork fixed.
We'll see.
We'll see. Move on.
in 2005, I was off.
Oh,
Now I have no sound.
yeah. 1 second, guys. Because I know. Okay, hold on. I think I know what's going on. Hold on. Okay, audio issue resolved, I believe. Sorry about that, guys. Here we go.
And then I had my own encounter, again in 2005. I was off duty, sitting in my backyard with 2 other police officers when we noticed what first appeared to be a satellite in orbit, but it wasn't acting like a satellite. The light was strange, it was pulsing, and then it started to maneuver. It dropped in elevation. At times it would vanish from view and reappear in a different location in the sky, and eventually it reappeared 200 feet over my house. It was a 30-foot diameter sphere of light. My friends and I watched it for a moment, and then it
30-foot diameter sphere of light. I mean, now normal. I just want to interject real quick. This guy is obviously a professional Air Force officer. I think his estimates of sizes are probably pretty spot on.
That's a big.
That's a good size, man. I got a huge living room and it's not 30 feet. So that's massive.
gently sphere of light. My friends and I watched it for a moment, and then it gently accelerated and traveled up and disappeared into the stars. These events profoundly changed my life and the lives of my friends. We stand at a pivotal moment in history. The question is no longer whether these events are real, but whether we have the courage to face them. True leadership requires vision, a willingness to confront the unknown with transparency and resolve. So I ask the Congress to help we, the people, enact this vision. There are 3 goals.
Okay.
Fund independent research and treat UAP study with the same seriousness as we would any other scientific field. 2, end secrecy and overclassification. Transparency is the foundation of truth. Without it, witnesses like us are dismissed. 3, protect the witnesses. Many stay silent out of fear for their careers, reputations, and the safety of their families. Protect them, and you will embolden others to join this cause. These phenomena challenge our deepest assumptions about reality, consciousness, and our place in the universe. Exploring them can unlock transformative breakthroughs in technology, biology, and human understanding. Let this be the moment when America chooses courage over fear, transparency over secrecy, and progress over stagnation. Let's show the world that our nation leads not only through strength, but through fearless pursuit of the truth. Thank you.
I mean, it's hard to disagree, and it's hard to say, oh, you didn't see that, you know? I mean, and that's part of the problem is, and like he said, these people were threatened. They saw all this. They have, as a group, went to report it and were told, oh, you better be quiet. Oh, you don't want to say that. Oh, you don't want to. Really? Like this is not the government that was envisioned for this country. Just go straight into the next guy.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's probably the next 46, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's fine.
right here.
Yeah.
The task force and Ranking Member Crockett and members of the task force and the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Alexandro Wiggins. I'm an active duty U.S. Navy Operations Specialist, Senior Chief Petty Officer.
Okay.
Father of 3 and dedicated American testifying today in my personal capacity. The views I share are my own, and I do not represent the official positions of the Department of the Navy or any subordinate organization. On the evening of February 15th, 2023, at approximately 19:15 PST, in the Whiskey 291 warning area off the coast of Southern California, I was serving on board USS Jackson. During that period, I moved between the Interior Communications Center, ICC-1, and the bridge wing, correlating the sensor picture with visual observations, part of my routine responsibilities for surface and air picture management. What I observed and what our crew recorded was not consistent with conventional aircraft or drones as they appear on our system. A self-luminous tic-tac shaped object emerged from the ocean before linking up with 3 other similar objects. The 4 then disappeared simultaneously with a high synchronized near instantaneous acceleration. I observed no sonic boom and no conventional propulsion signatures, no exhaust plume, no control surface articulation on the Sapphire image system. Shortly after the synchronized departure, radar tracks dropped. These observations were multi-sensor and recorded inside of ICC-1. with time location overlay visible in our source frames that have been made public by journalists. From my experience operating in this region over many years and consistent with our public characterized encounters, unidentified objects reoccur in United States operation areas off Southern California. That fact alone does not tell us what they are, but it does argue the systematic stigma-free reporting and for the preservation of sensor data so analysts can evaluate safe and intelligence implications with rigor.
There we go. All right. And we're back on track now on the notes. So
Yeah, I must have made an error.
yeah, it's okay. So we're going to jump ahead to Mr. Knapp at 4704, and we're going to go to 4905.
And touch on the more important salient points. I submitted a detailed written statement for the record, and we'll go into a lot of that here. But the public has been told over and over since the late 40s, there's nothing to worry about here. These mysterious craft seen by millions of people in the skies, in the oceans, over the land are not real. They're not a threat.
Right. Yeah.
The witnesses are wrong. They're crackpots. Don't believe it.
Yep.
That changed for me. What got me hooked is the paper trail. Documents that were squeezed out of the U.S. government after the FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, became the law of the land.
Yeah.
And those documents paint a much different picture than what the public, the press, and Congress have been told over many years. The documents from military and intelligence personnel behind closed doors admit that, quote, these things are real. They're not fictitious. They can fly in formation. They're evasive, and they outperform any aircraft known to exist, including ours.
Yeah.
The public, of course, as I said, has been told something much different. Back in 1989, I reported about a guy named Bob Lazar, who claimed that he worked at a facility dubbed S4 out in the Nevada desert, very near to Area 51. He said he was part of a reverse engineering program. He said there are alien craft that will be taken apart to figure out how they operated out there. And that was a pretty tall order. I'd clearly taken a dive into the deep end of the pool there. But in the years since then, I've interviewed dozens of other people, and I've detailed what their testimony has been in the written statement. They include Senator Harry Reid, Senator Howard Cannon, also of Nevada, a guy named Al O'Donnell, who was the first general manager of EG&G in Nevada, which managed the Nevada test site, which blew up hundreds of nuclear weapons. There's a guy named Dr. James Lukatsky, who was a career scientist with the Defense Intelligence Agency, who was the guy who initiated a program called OSAP, Advanced Aerospace Weapons Systems Application Program, which is, as far as we know, the largest acknowledged UFO program ever funded by the U.S. government, which put together an amazing pile of information that members of this committee and the world, most of which they have never seen. The DIA still hasn't released 95% of what was prepared by that program at a cost of millions and millions of dollars.
And if there's nothing there, right? If this is all bullshit, why is so much classified still? Why won't they just release it?
My guess is they don't know what it is.
That's what I think. That's what I think too. Okay, so we're going to jump ahead a little bit, and we're going to see a video of the actual that we played at the beginning.
It's a different video.
Oh, this is a different video. Okay.
That one's later.
Oh, yeah, that was the Hellfire missile one. This one is 5223. And it's very short, 5223 to 5320. It's a minute long. I saw it briefly, but I was thinking you can't really hear what's being said. PPSS.
That shit took off earlier.
That ship took off earlier.
So that, yeah.
Yeah, and so this is from the USS Jackson, which is, I'm not sure, it's a Navy ship. I don't know exactly what its designation is, but USS 2023 USS Jackson. So this is official documentation of things doing things, or of this object doing things that we know our craft can't do. Our craft can't do 90-degree turns and 180-degree instant flips. And yeah.
I don't think that's human.
No. I mean, if it is, then it would need to have some sort of anti-gravity drive or something to prevent the G-forces from
I don't think that's
disabling a
non-human.
human pilot. Yeah. I don't think it's manned. I think it's unmanned or robotic, perhaps, maybe a drone of some sort. I don't know. All right, we're gonna just a few more seconds.
If we can get rid of the audio real quick. Mr. Wiggins and Mr. Knapp, we'll get back to what that video was in a moment, but we just want to make sure that it was entered into the record, as well as all the documents. Those will be able to be publicly found for everyone in the country to view.
Okay. And then we jump ahead just a few seconds. And we're going to introduce Mr. Borland.
Good morning, members of the task force and the committee. I would like to express my gratitude for being invited to testify to the current task force created under the People's Chamber and the American public. As an American citizen, veteran, and intelligence community professional, it is an honor and a privilege to serve under oath before you on behalf of our country. I speak for myself and no former agency or company I have been previously affiliated with. My name is Dylan Borland, a former 1N1 geospatial intelligence specialist for the United States Air Force in an active duty enlisted capacity from 2010 to 2013.
That sounds important. I don't know what it is, but it sounds important.
I've also been employed with BAE Systems and Intrepid Solutions as a senior analyst, expert in analyzing video, radar, and advanced electro-optical imagery for official identification of aerial order of battle, as well as naval and ground order of battle. I'm a federal whistleblower, having testified to both the ICIG and ARROW with direct firsthand knowledge of and experience with craft and technologies that are not ours and are reportedly operating without congressional oversight. Because of my direct knowledge of the reality of certain legacy UAP programs, my professional career was deliberately obstructed, and I have endured sustained reprisals from government agencies for over a decade.
I believe it.
From 2011 to 2013, I was stationed at Langley Air Force Base, Virginia, conducting 24-hour operations via manned and unmanned aerial vehicles for Special Operations Forces in the global war on terror. During the summer of 2012, my team was on standby for weather, and I returned to my barracks on base, and at approximately 0130, I saw an approximately 100-foot equilateral triangle take off from near the NASA hangar on the base. The craft interfered with my telephone, did not have any sound, and the material it was made of appeared fluid or dynamic. I was under this triangular craft for a few minutes, and then it rapidly ascended to commercial jet level in seconds, displaying zero kinetic disturbance, sound, or wind displacement.
Now, the interesting part that I found on this is he said it took off from near the NASA hangar. So it was already on the ground somewhere, perhaps underground, perhaps hidden. Maybe it's some secret program we have that they don't want to talk about.
That could be.
It wouldn't be the first time we've seen that crap, but I digress.
Some years after that experience, I was further exposed to classified information from the UAP legacy crash retrieval program through a sensitive position I held within a special access program.
You heard that. UAP crash recovery program. I thought Roswell didn't happen.
That's what they claim.
I'm debating. Just come on, man. Where's our? I wish I had that clip of Flava Flav doing that. Have you seen it? Where he's like, "Come on, man."
During this time, intelligence officers approached me in fear for their own careers, citing misconduct within these programs and similar retaliation that I was already enduring at this time. These issues include medical malpractice committed by Veterans Affairs staff, denial of work I performed while enlisted in the United States Air Force, forged and manipulated employment documents, workplace harassment, including colleagues being directed to not speak with me, manipulation of my security clearance by certain agencies, blocking, delaying, and ultimately removing my ability to be employed within the IC.
Wow.
The retaliation I face and the retaliation against individuals I know who worked in these programs is what convinced me in March 2023 to become a whistleblower. I came forward out of concern for people's lives and to ensure I did everything I could to let our elected representatives know the truth about what is really happening in the executive branch.
Good for you, dude.
At the end of March 2023, I agreed to meet with Arrow following the suggestion of other federal officials believing it was what our nation required of me. I had reservations with Arrow due to assessments they were reporting publicly at the time as a misrepresentation of the truth. Because of these concerns, I did not share sources and methods information in order to protect current and former federal personnel who had firsthand exposure to technologies of unknown origin. I did not want anyone to face further retaliation beyond what they had already endured. And unfortunately, a staff member ended up getting in some trouble because of that. After David Grush testified under oath in the summer of 2023 and provided historic disclosure, I was then asked to go to the ICIG and did so in August 2023.
I remember that. We covered that. Yeah, David Grush. I remember talking about that. Yeah, we'll see what comes of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll talk to you at Arrow. We'll talk to you. Yeah, come on. Bring it. I remember that hearing. Yeah, if you guys watch the channel, go back, watch it. You'll see the very same thing he just talked about. Oh, yeah, come on and talk to us. What happened?
It was very clear early on during my intake interview, which was video recorded under oath, that the objective was to solely assess how much I know and not move forward with an investigation with new information I provided them.
That is exactly what I was afraid of. Remember, we talked about it. We will see if they actually do anything or if this is just a way to gather up the people who actually know shit so they can ID them. Yeah.
The aftermath of that IG complaint still troubles me to this day. Since my ICIG complaint, I've been prevented from resuming prior employment and can confirm I'm still blacklisted from certain agencies within the intelligence community. In addition, multiple agencies attempted phishing attacks to assess what I had divulged to the Inspector General, including being asked to disclose details of my ICIG complaint during a CI polygraph for a position unrelated to UFO UAP matters as recently as November 2024. As I sit before you today, I and many other whistleblowers have no job prospects, no foreseeable professional future, and a nation every single one of us came forward to defend.
That's messed up.
Numerous individuals have come forward in various ways to reveal the truth of the UAP reality as patriots and defenders of our nation. Yet many feel discarded, isolated, hopeless, separated from the country they serve. Efforts to rectify this situation for all whistleblowers have been difficult and troubling. And to my fellow whistleblowers and officials who know this information, I offer you my apology, something that I have never gotten, and I'm giving it to you. I swore an oath to the Constitution of the United States, an oath that demands truth and transparency for our democratic republic to function. Each day, these truths remain hidden from our citizens. Humanity drifts further from the principles our nation was founded to uphold. Each day, victims of crimes committed by agencies and companies maintaining this secrecy are denied justice as another day our Constitution is shredded. In 2023, Patriots provided this committee and the executive branch with undeniable proof of the UAP reality, and I commend your continued commitment. The future of humanity is one which we either travel to the stars or regress to the Stone Age with this technology. My career has been to deliver critical information to decision makers. Your role as elected by your representatives is to act on it. The time to act is now. Thank you.
That's some crap, dude.
That is.
It's some crap that someone who wants to serve their country simply wants to make us the best country we can be and uphold the ideals of the Constitution, which is truth and transparency in our government.
Yeah, he just wants to tell the truth.
He just wants to tell the truth. They don't want that. And, you know, I get asked often, who is they, right? Who is they? It varies, guys. But ultimately, it's the group, sometimes isolated individuals, but more often a network of some kind of individuals who don't want the information made public for whatever reason. It may just simply be because, like you said, they don't know what the hell it is, and it's a national security issue. It may be because they do know what it is, and they don't want us finding out what it is.
They might be also afraid of the panic.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, if you look back, I believe it was Eisenhower that was president when Roswell happened. Either way, around that period, there's a story. If you look up Majestic 12, there's a story about visitors attempting to make contact with the White House. And his reaction was, do not tell the American people because we want to avoid a panic. Now, you can go into that rabbit hole yourself. Maybe we'll jump into it sometime and look into all the stuff. There's a lot. But I don't know. I'm not telling you it's true. I'm not telling you it's false. I don't know. What I do know is this shit's been going on for a long ass time, and we have yet to see true transparency.
True.
All right, we're going to jump ahead, and we're going to get Representative Luna, her opening statement here at 105:51.
Mr. Borland, in your testimony, okay, all right. Mr. Borland, in your testimony, you described witnessing large triangular craft while stationed at Langley Air Force Base in 2012. Can you explain what you observed in terms of size, behavior, and why you're confident it was not conventional technology?
Great question, ma'am. So on the base, I lived in the barracks. There was a little smoke pit outside. I was there on the telephone and looking across to the flight line, and I see a white light pop up and stop about 100 feet in the air. I thought it was a weather balloon. I've seen tests from there before, weeknight, normal thing, not surprising. I actually finished my cigarette and I began walking up towards the flight line. There is a track, and because I was on 3 months of night work, I would walk the track at night when we were weathered down. And as I began walking towards the flight line and the track, the light then flies across the base, across the flight line, and as it flies to me, a triangle manifests around the light. I can't tell you if it's active camouflage. I can't tell you if it appeared around the light, but I can tell you that it was a white light, and then it was a triangle. It stopped about 100 feet in front of me and approximately 100 feet above me. My telephone got extremely hot, completely froze, dead. I remember how thick it was. It was between 1 to 2 stories thick, equilateral triangle. I could never see the top of it, and the edges were 90 degrees. There were 4 lights in total, 1 light on each corner and a larger light in the center, 2 to 3 times the size of the corner lights. But what was really odd was the outside. The best way to describe it is like looking at a James Webb telescope picture where you have the colors and then the black background. So the craft itself was this black metallic flake paint, but on top of the craft was this gold, lava, plasma, some type of fluid going over and around the craft. I'm under this for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then the center light flashes 2 to 3 times, no sound, immediately shoots up to commercial jet level minimum, in my opinion, and I immediately feel static electricity all over my body, and then I smell the smell of after a thunderstorm or lightning storm, that really strong summer thunderstorm smell.
It's been ozone is what people say it.
Is that okay?
That post lightning or post storm smell. I don't know if that's exactly what he's talking about, but that is an interesting description and something that it makes me think of almost like an active camouflage type of a system, maybe where, like you said, like lava or plasma or something. I'm in my mind, I'm visualizing kind of like almost like tendrils or cracks that go through, and then this stuff, right, is piped around, and it could be to where it then energizes panels to reflect or mirror what would be behind it. That's been a proposed active camouflage system. You see it a lot in sci-fi. I'm just spitballing here. Obviously, I don't know. I don't have the specs, but I mean, if somebody has the specs and you want to send them, I can absolutely look at them and go, because I probably won't understand them, but.
Gets up to flight level. I'm trying to get my phone reset, and I can only see the center light at this point. If I didn't actually see it take off, I would have thought it was a star. And then it hovers up there, and it begins to slowly move due east out over the Atlantic Ocean. I finally got my phone reset. The entire thing was about, from the time I saw the light pop up near the hangar until it took off out over the ocean, was about 15 minutes.
And following up to that question, after you disclose this information to the intelligence community, Inspector General, you're subject to phishing attempts and job blacklisting. How widespread do you think this is across the intelligence community for those who raise concerns regarding UAP programs?
It's a difficult question to answer. I think prior to David Grush and people beginning this process of bringing people into awareness of the reality of these programs and certain things people have witnessed, probably extremely widespread. I think today.
I think he's right. I mean, let's face it, blackballing was common for anyone who dared to actually report a UAP, UFO, whatever. We've seen that. They talked about that in the previous hearing as well. All right, we're going to jump ahead to Representative Mace. 11837.
I want to thank all of our witnesses for being here today. Mr. Borland, I'd like to start with you and ask a few questions. Were there any other witnesses when you saw the equilateral triangle? Were there other witnesses that saw the same thing?
Not to my knowledge, ma'am. At that point, the only people that would be awake is those of us that were doing operations for the GWAT and then security forces. So not to my knowledge.
And do you think that, in your opinion, that the equilateral triangle was the U.S. government's technology?
Good question.
I did once upon a time, but knowing what I know now, I'll have to answer that question as skiff probably.
Oh, now that is an interesting answer. You guys heard it, but the question: do you believe it belonged to us? The thing you saw, is that our tech? Do you think it's our tech? At one time, I'd have said yes, but now I'll need to be in a skiff to answer that.
And then maybe we should explain what a skiff is.
Yeah, so a skiff is secure, compartmentalized information.
I'm not sure.
Something.
Like, isn't it where people go into like
TUFs or something?
You can't bring your phone, or you can't bring.
It's completely locked down. You can't bring your phone in. You can't bring cameras in. There's no recording equipment. There's no outside internet or lines or anything. It's completely compartmentalized so that no information can be transmitted in or out.
Do we know where that's at?
There are a number of them. There are places that they have set up. Let's see. Let me get the actual definition. Facility. The F is facility. I don't know why. Sensitive, not secure. Sensitive, compartmented information facility. Enclosed area within a building that is used to process sensitive, compartmented information. So there are. So let's see, I'm going to throw this up over here so you can see it. So here's the definition: SCIF solutions, an accredited area, group of rooms or installation where sensitive compartmented information may be stored, used, discussed, or electronically processed. SCIF procedural and physical measures prevent the free access of persons unless they have been formally indoctrinated for the particular SCIF authorized for use or storage within the SCIF. In other words, each individual SCIF has a particular list of people who can go in and out.
I see.
And just because you could go into that skiff over there doesn't mean you can get into this one. And then it goes into all the.
So there's multiple. There's not
Yeah,
just
there's
one.
there's tons of different kinds and ways. Look at all this. This is all just stuff. And then it gets into further details of, let's see, locations of skiffs in the U.S. Concentrations around D.C. and Fort Meade. Specific examples include government facilities like the White House Situation Room, private company locations in cities like Herndon, St. Louis, Aurora.
Wow.
There are more than you think. Yeah. But
Never
here
knew
it
that.
is. Skiff facilities. There's private ones in Herndon, Virginia, Chantilly, St. Louis, Aurora. You can request availability for one. Yeah. Yeah, you can rent them just like anything else. Everything in this country is for rent or sale. It's just the way it bees, right?
All right,
Okay.
let's go back.
So let's see where we at here. There we go.
Next question is you teased us. So knowing what you know now means what?
I know enough to know that if you want an answer to that question, go to Arrow. They have the answer.
Do you think it was a foreign government?
I do not. No.
And
Okay.
Arrow is supposed to be disclosing. The last time I was in a skiff with Arrow, they said they were going to be doing disclosures. Had they been doing much of that?
I don't have an answer to you for
Yeah.
you. I don't know. I know what Arrow reports publicly, and I know what I've been through.
Yeah. And some of this stuff can be, I think, debunked, right? Sometimes there are weather balloons that look kind of a little funky, or drones or whatever, depending on the angle, direction, speed, et cetera. Are you scared for your safety?
That's a complicated question. So being here today, if I say the wrong word, technically I can be charged with espionage. Espionage is a death penalty. Whistleblowers have faced it. John Kiriakou, for example. I am not scared for my physical safety in the sense of an agency or company coming to kill me, but I have no job. My career has been tarnished. You know, I'm unemployed,
It is.
living off of unemployment for the next 3-4 weeks until that's gone. So it's a complicated question.
Have there been stories leaked about your life to try to discredit you in the public eye?
As of now, I don't know.
We know they did that to Mr. Grush.
I am aware. Yes, ma'am.
They leaked his private medical information, horrific things.
It is.
Okay, you said in your testimony earlier with the chairwoman, you know other things.
We got a few more minutes.
I guess that has to be mentioned in a skiff.
It would.
The other things.
It would, pending I'm even legally allowed to speak on, and the people in the room are even legally allowed to hear it.
And is that, would we need to know the
And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is our government working against us.
Uh-huh.
Our intelligence agencies have weaponized information. They make everything classified, top secret, all this stuff, so that in order for someone to become a whistleblower, like he said, if I say the wrong word, I can be charged with espionage.
And our elected officials don't even know.
Right.
I can kind of see why you don't want the general public to know certain things.
Kind of, yeah, sure.
But our elected officials should know.
Right, like he said, I don't even know if I can talk to you.
That's crazy. She's an elected member of Congress.
Right. These are members of the Oversight Committee.
Yeah.
And even they, in some cases, don't have access to this information.
That's a problem.
This is disturbing.
Uh-huh.
the compartmentalized word, like what the code word is or the name of the program, the special access program, in order to even hear it? You have to know the word, right?
I would
The
suggest,
name of it, right?
I would suggest that to be asked to DNI Gabbard and work with her for that, because I can't give you the answer on what is the
But
requirement.
this is what
to
the
do that.
U.S. government does, right? They compartmentalize the information. Only certain people know the name of the program. And if you don't know it, you can't get the information. If you don't have the name, you don't know what to ask for.
Yep.
Even when we're reviewing the budget, we go into a SCIF, we look at DOD budget and the budget of like black box programs, and we don't know what we're looking at because we don't know what these programs are.
Isn't that wild?
Is it a way for the government to hide from Congress what's really going on and where the money's going?
Right.
In my opinion, absolutely yes.
You mentioned too in your testimony earlier that, quote, you went to speak with the government and they said somebody's name, a colleague's name, and you said they shouldn't have mentioned that staff person's name. What does that mean?
A Senate staffer who is the one who helped me get to Arrow recommended me I go there, gave me the email and the phone number because I could not find that information at all at the time. In fact, I believe you guys have talked about how Arrow didn't even have a website for quite a period of time.
Yeah.
We were told they were going to do disclosures, both what they've debunked, because some of it can be debunked, and then what they haven't been able to debunk. And to my knowledge, it hasn't been a thing. I only have 1 minute left. So Mr. Knapp, we were definitely going to you. Watch every documentary. You guys have you and Jeremy have done a terrific job. I usually have more questions than I have answers. I think we all do. And you guys are doing a terrific job to bring information to the public. Do you think that any of this is a psyop by the U.S. government?
Entirely possible. I mean, our government and other governments have admitted that they've tried to use UFOs to cover secret projects.
Yep.
But I think they also do some reverse engineering of those claims. So years after people start seeing UFOs over Area 51, for example, they come up with the story, oh yeah, that was, we planted that story. So I read in a major newspaper just a couple of weeks ago, they planted this story. An Air Force colonel went out into the desert, went to a bar at Rachel and gave them some fake UFO photos. Right. And that's how the whole story about Area 51 started, which is preposterous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't even get to the crash retrieval program stuff yet, Miss Chairwoman. There's just so much. Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. There's so much.
Yes.
And you actually sent me that article, and it was how allegedly
Yeah.
the whole Area 51 thing was set up as a red herring to cover what was actually going on there.
Uh-huh.
And look, maybe, but the story that they told, like she said, this guy went to a bar and handed out horse shit. That's not even how it happened. So I don't know if the underlying claim is accurate, maybe, but the parameters of the story given didn't line up with what actually happened. So it calls into question everything else. All right, jump ahead just a few seconds here.
For Crockett.
Oh, yay. Yes.
I don't think I
Long
not very well.
standing overclassification issue in general. We all know that from the assassinations of MLK and Malcolm X to the COINTELPRO and torture programs to now UAPs. The federal government has kept the American public in the dark about issues of immense public interest. The federal government has routinely made excuses for failing to provide transparency to the public, the most common of which is national security concerns. Mr. Spielberger, can you provide an example of when national security was inappropriately used as a pretext for classification?
Good question.
Congresswoman, probably one of the most infamous examples of that is the 9/11 Commission that found that overclassification was a key factor in the failure to adequately prevent the attacks of that day.
In addition to that, what lessons from these oversight?
Okay. So we're jump ahead to Burchett.
Yep, from Tennessee.
And I think they've been lying to us and to you and the rest of the world, and they're still doing it.
Yes, sir, I agree with you. How did you manage to obtain the classified Russian UAP documents, and how did you get them back in the United States?
Well, I met this Russian physicist who was in the United States lecturing.
And I want to clarify that. I can't even take a thing of honey home on my airplane when I fly back to Tennessee.
Yeah.
So.
I did something pretty dumb.
And I'm bitter about it, but go ahead.
I did something kind of dumb. I met with these officials who, during that time period, glasnost, perestroika, the Russians were trying to open up to the world.
Yeah.
And I saw it as a window of opportunity, and it was. And we were able to talk these folks into providing us information. that otherwise we would never have seen. Some of that was classified. I found out that they only stamped the top pages of these documents that were classified, so I just removed them. I removed those pages and I carried them out. And if they'd caught me, I'd be in a gulag still.
Yeah. We'd be saying, what happened to George Knapp? Oh, yeah. What happened to the Russians that came forward to you in 1993, and were there any repercussions for them?
Well, there were. The first thing that happened when I talked about this after getting back and going through the files and things and sifting through it, the Russian physicist who had helped us introduced all these people wrote back and said there was a huge eruption, that there was the real right, far autocratic forces that wanted a return of the USSR had really go after these guys. They described them as traitors.
Can you rewind it? Because I think I messed up on the time again.
Yeah, no problem. How far back?
Keep going. Because I really want that story. Must have missed the time.
Keep going back?
Yeah.
Okay.
World. I don't think they've made much progress.
Okay, so.
Keep going. It's a story that happened in Russia.
Okay.
Maybe I missed.
That's okay. It happens.
I recently introduced the UAP Whistleblower Protection Act to help provide whistleblower protection.
Yeah, it just got to him, and we can go back a little bit.
You want to pause it?
Yeah, let's pause. We'll be right back after we get our stuff together. Looking for the story, but we'll find it. Do you just want to tell them real quick?
Sure. That
the documents that he's talking about were directly related to an incident in Russia that happened,
where all of a sudden their nuke turned on, and then the ship came by and it just automatically shut off.
Yeah, it just turned off. Now, this didn't only happen in Russia. There was an instance of this happening in the United States as well that has been reported at the prior hearing.
Yeah.
So we're seeing some duality here, and allegedly, I don't have the information in front of me, but I heard that the same thing happened at a Chinese launch facility.
They're trying to tell us something, or
right there's a lot of speculation about what it means, but ultimately, right. So we're slightly off, but we're just going to let this guy jump back into what he was saying.
Autocratic forces that wanted a return of the USSR had really go after these guys. They described them as traitors. Nikolai Kapranov, the physicist friend of mine, said, look, if this had happened 5 years earlier, we would be in prison. If it had happened 10 years earlier, we would have been shot. Yeah, right. Luckily, at that point, Putin was not in power. But none of those people that we talked to on that trip in 1993 would ever talk to me again. I went back in 1996, and it was like I had the plague. I spoke to different people, but they were scared. And eventually, the story was spun where the Ministry of Defense officials who gave us this information were described as ufologists who said there was nothing really significant to these files. They didn't really find anything a big deal. And I can tell you, you'll see those files that I shared with you. They did find stuff. There was an incident in October of 1982 over at ICBM base where UFOs popped up, was observed over this base where the missiles are pointed at us, United States. These UFOs perform incredible maneuvers. They split apart, they fuse back together, they'd appear and disappear. And right at the end of this 4-hour period, the launch control codes for the ICBMs lit up. Something entered the correct codes. The missiles were fired up and ready to launch, and they could not shut it down. The Russian officers were panicking. The UFOs they disappeared. The launch control system goes back to normal. Colonel Sokolov and his team came in, took the thing apart, could not figure out what it was. It wasn't a power surge or EMPs or some of the baloney excuses that our country has given for similar events involving our nuclear missiles. They thought it was a message from wherever the UFOs were from. And that's a chilling thing. I mean, we were a couple of seconds away from World War III starting, and the UFOs were responsible for it.
All right, I'm out of time.
Yeah, that's frightening.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrifying. Had they launched them, World War III would have happened. You know, it's ladies and gentlemen, I lived through the 80s. And it was very scary. The Cold War was concerning. The reason I mention this is because it is actually kind of butt puckering how many near misses we've had with complete nuclear war. Like, it really is kind of, whoa, when you start looking into the various instances. The guy, the German guy, or excuse me, the Russian guy in the bunker. I can't think of his name right now, but he is a hero to the world because do you know that story?
I think so.
Where they had just developed a new tracking system, basically a satellite system, and this thing glitched and thought the U.S. had launched missiles. Yeah. And he said, well, if they were going to strike first, why would they only launch 5? That doesn't make any sense. They would launch everything. But if he had followed protocol, his job was to pick up the phone and call it in and inform command so that they could strike first, before the missiles impacted. He chose not to do that. He chose to wait. And luckily he did. Otherwise, who knows what would have happened. All right, we're going to jump ahead to Representative Burleson.
Real name is Lockheed.
And that's at 143.31.
And I think that it's our responsibility, especially when we're seeing that we have a government that is actively blocking information from us. Just last night, I tried to get an amendment onto the National Defense Authorization Act that fit in the germaneness of that bill to have UAP disclosure. And conveniently, it was named non-germane, mostly deemed by staff, not even an elected official.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that we repeatedly see.
And that's I'm glad that clip is on here because I've heard from multiple people. Your elected officials, they don't run Washington, D.C.
No, and
staffers run Washington, D.C.
That's disturbing.
It's disturbing. The unelected bureaucrats, guys, those are the biggest danger to the security of this country, in my opinion, are the unelected bureaucrats who think they know better than the person you elected.
And the problem is we can't get rid of those.
Right. They're so heavily, deeply entrenched. And a lot of these elected officials, look, guys, whether it's, okay, let's take two extremes. Let's take AOC, okay, and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Okay.
Right? Two people who were completely disconnected from government when they first got elected, right? They come in, they don't know what they're doing. They have a training program. Sure, they got a little intro they put you through that, here's how this works. But they don't know the town. They don't know what's going on. So a lot of them keep at least a couple of the former people's staff. And that's all it takes. Because those are the people that are handling the important stuff. Those are the ones making the connections. And we got to, that's what I believe really needs to happen to drain the swamp. Get rid of all the staffers. Start over. Start over with people who are not from there, who are completely separate, who grew up in frickin' Walkerton or Westville, like nowhere near Washington, D.C. Like, just my opinion.
Start completely over.
Yeah. Just flush it. Put the blue bowl cleaner in there, scrub it out, and start over. Just my,
Here, we were blocked by someone in House administration from being able to receive a full briefing from Arrow.
Imagine
so not an elected official, but someone in staff blocked us. And I've had it. Enough is enough. I want to cue up a video that I've been given.
Video that we started with.
And as before it starts, I'm going to describe. This was taken October 30th of 2024. This video is of an MQ-9 drone tracking an orb, or this object, off the coast of Yemen. You'll see that another MQ-9 launched a Hellfire missile. You cannot see that drone. And so I'm not going to explain it to you. You'll see exactly what it does.
All right. Saw it already, but let's pay close attention here. This is the mystery object. It's just flying. And then, yeah, the hellfire comes in, bounces off. There's what almost look like not debris, but like heat trails or something,
Yeah.
some 3 particles of some sort behind it, but the thing seemed to spin, but then resume.
Uh-huh.
So like
Crazy.
it's wild. It's absolutely wild. And then
This is when it
picks it
zoomed
back
out. So you can still see it traveling.
Still see it cruising down there.
So,
Flying just fine.
Mr. Knapp, have you heard about, events like this occurring? And what information might you have?
I have heard about events like this. I have heard about this event. Jeremy Corbell and I talked about it in one of our episodes a while back. We did not have the video, though. There are servers where there's a whole bank of these kind of videos that Congress has not been allowed to see, that the public hasn't been allowed to see. Occasionally, some of that stuff gets out in the wild, and it comes our way. It should be going to you. The public should be seeing this stuff.
Absolutely.
And why you're not allowed to, I don't know. But that's a Hellfire missile smacking into that UFO and just bounced right off. And it kept going.
It kept going, and it looks like the debris was taken with it.
Yeah. What the hell is that?
So
What
again,
flies like that?
again, I'm not.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the 3 whatever, probably debris from the hellfire, and it was carried along with it. It didn't just go out.
No.
That's a good point that I meant to mention before, is it almost seemed to be carried along in some sort of field. Whether that's, actually, I don't know. I'm not an anti-grav expert, so who knows? But certainly an interesting and compelling video.
I'm not going to speculate what it is, but the question is, why are we being blocked from this information consistently? I want to ask this just question. How in the world, this is the document, I want to enter this in for the record if it hasn't already been entered, Madam Chair. The document
So
that you
ordered.
provided on thread 3, this is a huge file. How in the world did you smuggle this out of Russia?
Carefully.
In your socks?
I don't think I want to be really specific about it because I might have to go back there and get some more sometime. Although, that'd be crazy to do that. Well, I took the top pages off that were stamped with a security signature, and I carried them out on my person. But the rest of them I just threw in my suitcase and threw some caviar in there as a distraction as well, and hoped for the best. Otherwise, I'd be a citizen of Siberia right now.
Yeah.
And you had you reported James Lakatsky came to you with government possession of NHI craft and how they ultimately gained entry. Can you testify to the veracity of that claim?
Dr. Lakatsky is an honorable man who served most of his career with the DIA, a very trusted, high-level rocket scientist and intelligence analyst who inspired the OSAP program, as I said earlier. And
we're going beyond the scope here, but again, there are so many documented whistleblowers, so many documented pieces of evidence that this isn't one crackpot going, I thought there were no green men. We're talking about decorated veterans who have lost their careers because they chose to speak up. I mean, what more badge of courage do you need to show you're not, like, who makes that shit up and wants to lose everything? Like, come on. All right, we're gonna jump ahead. If by all means, guys, if you have the time, go watch the whole video. There's a lot of interesting things here, but we're trying to condense it for you. And already, it's already a lot, but we only got a few more minutes left. Right there. Hang with us. All right. 158:38. And we're going to go to 2 hours. See, we're already at the 2 hour mark. So you guys save considerable amount of time.
Yeah.
True.
Thank you. Mr. Knapp, I've watched many of your videos on Joe Rogan and other places. One of the big questions, I think, for many of us is why do you believe that the federal government refuses to be transparent about this issue?
I think there's probably multiple reasons. At the start, when these things first started invading our skies in large numbers, we were scared. It was right after World War II, and we didn't know what they were, and they didn't want to panic the public, and that was probably a good call. Over time, I think the lying sort of became institutionalized, you know. Flights over Washington, D.C. in 1952, they're seen, they're captured on radar. Yeah. Jets are chased after these objects, and then we get an explanation it was a temperature inversion. And those kind of lies have been told for a long time. What was told to me by an investigator from Congress, a guy named Richard D'Amato, who was sent after this story by Robert Byrd and Harry Reid, he came out to Nevada, tried to get into Area 51, did get in there, looked around, talked to people, trying to get to the bottom of it. He believed that this program, reverse engineering, et cetera, was inside, had been moved inside these corporations. And he said, when this comes out, people are going to go to prison. And he meant people who were basically misusing legitimate national security funds, tens of billions of dollars, in order to keep this cover-up going. I also believe there's a legitimate reason for the cover-up in that there is undeniable connection of national security involved in this technology. If we are racing for it to master that technology against the Russians and the Chinese, which is what I have been told by Senator Reid and many others, then it is a race that's critical to our survival. There could be a form of disclosure, I think. Yes, it's real. It's from somewhere else without revealing all the details that would allow someone else to have an advantage in the race for this technology.
And I agree. There has to be a way that that our government keeps the promise of transparency without, I guess, compromising our national security. But I think he's 100% right that the lying just became institutionalized. And at first, you know, okay, we're not going to tell them because we don't want them to panic. But it just became ingrained, and we're way beyond that at this point. So we're gonna jump ahead to Rep. Luna.
Thank you.
Should be only 2 more speakers left, I believe. All right.
Yeah, 201.25. Now we got Luna, Perry, Luna, Crane, Burleson, Burchett.
Okay.
So 6 more. They're like a couple minutes each.
Yeah, they're not long.
All right, here we go. This one's a minute.
Question is to Mr. Knapp. Mr. Knapp, how do we know that the files that you obtained from the former Soviet government are not BS and just given to you as a disinformation campaign against the U.S. government?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I shared some of them with the Senate Intelligence Committee when I first got back because that was requested by the Russians who shared some of that information with me. Secondly, I gave all of that material to the DIA through BASS, the OSAP program. Sorry for the acronyms.
Can you name names real quick? Sorry.
At BASS or OSAP?
Who did you give them to directly?
I gave them to Robert Bigelow and to Jim Lukatsky. And they hired a whole team to go through them and retranslate them and analyze it. And they created a structure of how the UFO programs in the USSR and Russia were put together. They said they were real. The other person who said they were real is David Grush.
Noted. Thank you. Representative Gill.
Okay. Jump ahead to Representative Perry. And that's at 207.21.
Start with maybe Mr. Borland. So you have a clearance, right? You're in uniform, you have a clearance. When did you leave service? What year?
I left in 2013, February
2013. Who was the president, if you recall?
2013 would have been President Obama, sir.
Wasn't President Trump, right?
No, sir.
Okay, so you have a clearance, right? You're serving in uniform, you have a clearance.
Yes,
Your
sir.
story, I think many of us are kind of picturing the scene. You walk out in the flight line, having a smoke, this event occurs. Do you have the perception, at least I do, based on your story, that this involves the U.S. government? Whatever you saw involves the U.S. government.
That is 100% my opinion then and now.
And was
And
there
now.
an after action? Do you do a date?
Now that is very, very interesting.
I didn't catch that before.
Yeah, then and now. So he still believes that the government was involved at that juncture. Now, maybe what he was talking about before was the new stuff I'd have to talk in a skip. But that, interesting. That is interesting.
Daily debrief of the activities of the day? Was any of that recorded? Was there a conversation with the command? Was there any documentation that you know of at the time?
Not to my knowledge. I mean, like I said, I talked about it in on the ops floor, and a couple of people had pulled me aside, some older enlisted, and were like, you probably want to keep that to yourself.
So did you get the impression that they knew what you were talking about, just didn't want you to harm your career or seem crazy, or that they didn't really witness? Did you know anybody else that witnessed what you saw?
Again, not that night. Like I said, the only people that would have been out there would have been security forces, and then those of us that were doing ops.
Security forces in uniform or contract?
Probably both.
Did you talk to them? Did anybody talk to them in an after action?
Not to my knowledge, sir.
Was there any interest in the command to determine and verify what you saw?
Not to my knowledge, sir.
It's unfortunate. Chief Wiggins, thank you for your service. Gentlemen, thanks all of you for your courage to be here. Your story's a little bit different. Sounds like it, well, for both of you guys, and also Mr. Nusatelli, if this were sanctioned by the U.S. government, even though you have a clearance, but it's classified above the clearance level, do you see any reason why they would allow you access, being present, viewing it, hearing it, being around it? Like, what is this, an accident? Like, does the U.S. government make these kind of accidents? They make accidents, mistakes like this? Like, we're doing this.
I mean, no offense to this guy, but let's look at how incompetent our government can be in certain instances. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Like,
we're doing this test.
Bay of Pigs.
Yeah.
Just there you go. That's all you need.
Of this new system, and we forgot these guys were standing here. Does that sound like something that the U.S. government would do?
No, sir. Some of the launches we were doing were like $5 billion projects that had taken like 10 years to develop the technology. And these objects were coming right up to the launch pad. So any kind of mistake, I mean, it could cause a catastrophe.
Right.
So it's very confusing why these objects would be operating in and around our bases or during training exercises.
So it would lend you to believe that the U.S. government had nothing to do with whatever it is you saw.
Correct.
They wouldn't want it there because it would potentially interrupt the proceedings at the time. Was there an after action? Was there a discussion by your command? Was there an investigation? It's pretty significant activities that you were involved in. Was there an investigation that you know of?
We conducted investigations in real time.
Right.
And we document all the evidence. But as far as anything from higher up, I don't know if there was an investigation done. No information came down on what we should do.
Were you ever interviewed at someone else's request?
About that incident?
Yeah, about the incident.
I don't believe so.
Do you think you find that odd? If something happens, you're around multi-million, maybe billion-dollar operations and launches of national security interests, very sensitive. There's an anomaly in the operation.
The only person witnessed it, saw a UAP at Vandenberg at that time frame, that was interviewed was the one that witnessed the thing land.
Well, I don't know why I'm asking you, but it seems to me that we would want to interview everybody associated, even not associated, to find out if they were associated. Chief Wiggins, how about you? Was there an investigation? Was there an after action? Was there documentation on the incident that you were privy to?
No, sir, not that I know of. And in my previous experience as an operations specialist, all operations that I've been a part of have been deliberate. So
Yeah.
they're
And deliberate operations, after the operation, you conduct an after-action review, or that's what the Army calls it. I don't know what I imagine the Navy has something similar to determine your weaknesses, your successes. Did you do that in regard to this incident?
No, sir. The Navy calls it after-action reports, and not to my knowledge was there an after-action report of this incident, sir.
It's unfortunate. Thank you, Chair. I yield.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of really suspicious stuff happening. But anyone who said, "Oh, don't you really think that a government would make that kind of mistake?" Our government nuked our own citizens. Like, we tested things on our own citizens. Do you think for a moment that they care? Besides, think of the culture. Who's going to believe this guy?
True.
You just happen to be out there. So what? All right. Jump ahead again to Luna at 225, 34. 225, 34.
And short answers, please, because of time. How much of these alleged Russian crash retrieval documents have already been physically out there? So, I mean, percentage-wise of the documents that you submitted to Congress, what was public already and what was not newly?
Maybe 1%.
Okay, so the rest of it should be predominantly new information.
Yep.
Also, can you just elaborate real quick? I know you had, I think, mentioned a Thread 3 program, but also alleged in those documents, I got through maybe half of them last night. There's a lot, and I don't speak Russian, contrary to what my people might allege. What does the Thread 3, was there any specific programs that existed within the Soviet government or groups to specifically investigate this by name real quick?
It's a number. There's a number in those documents I gave you. There was a larger program that actually had 3 sub-programs that was, Thread 3 was the name I got, and then the DIA guys who looked at it figured out there was a much larger organization.
And it's listed in those documents?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Real quick, I'd like to ask the committee to replay that video that Burleson had played earlier. I want to ask every witness here, specifically ones that have sensor training or have been able to recognize some of this movements real quick. So if you guys can please roll that real quick.
Okay. And for those of you guys listening, they're on screen. We have the craft with the 2 drones, and on screen it says LRD space LASE space DES. I'm guessing it's some sort of laser designator for probably the Hellfire missile for the other drone, or the Predator drone. There's the Hellfire. Wow, that is just wild.
Okay, while this is still rolling, Mr. Nusatelli, real quick, yes or no answer.
Once again, we saw the Hellfire missile impact. This thing shrug it off. And
kept going.
here, I'm going to back it up again, though. I want to see the debris.
Okay.
I'm going to look one more time. All right, so it comes in, it hits, and it just ricochets off, leaving what looks like pieces. And those pieces just travel right with it. Very, very strange.
Okay, while this is still rolling, Mr. Nusatelli, real quick, yes or no answers. Are you aware of anything in the government, United States government arsenal that can split a Hellfire missile like this?
No.
And do whatever blob thing it did and then keep going? Nothing?
Nothing.
All right, how about you, Chief Wiggins?
Nothing to my knowledge, ma'am.
Okay, and how about you, Mr. Borland?
I prefer to answer that in a skiff.
Okay.
Once again, incredibly interesting answer. Nothing in the U.S. arsenal, but I prefer to answer that in a skiff. That tells me, number one, this guy knows a hell of a lot more than he can say. And number two, potentially, it's some rogue branch or some intel group that has access to things that the rest of us do not, which would not be the first time they did some shit like that.
Does this video scare you guys? Yes or no?
Yes.
Wiggins?
Yes.
Nat?
I had a different reaction. I was really happy that it got out. Thanks for providing
Curiosity
that,
kills the
Congressman.
cat. All right, Mr. Borland?
Yes, for
Okay. All right, that is the end of my questioning. I'd like to now recognize Mr.
Yeah, he wanted to say more. I'm gonna back it up again because I want to hear.
Okay. All right, Borland?
yes, for
Okay. All right,
For and she cut him off. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. And then we got 3 more short clips and then we're done, guys. So we're going to go to Representative Crane at 2:28:05.
Just like 5 seconds.
Oh, yeah. We're ready.
that is the end of my questioning. I'd like to now recognize Mr. Crane.
Here we go.
Thank you. Chief, I was on a ship for a little bit. I was a gunner's mate on the USS Gettysburg for a couple of years. My question to you is, when you had your encounter and you saw it on the screen, you were in the CIC, is that correct?
That's correct. On an LCS ship, the CIC is on the bridge, so it's called ICC-1, but yes, same.
Did a bunch of the other folks in the CIC come and check out what you were looking at?
Yes, we all did. The tactical action officer, myself, the RCO, and 2 others that were on watch. We were all in the same space, so we were all looking at the Sapphire screen all at the same time.
Because in the other couple instances with the witnesses, you guys just saw it by yourself. Is that correct? Mr. Borland, you saw it by yourself?
For me, yes, sir.
Mr. Nusatelli, you saw this by yourself?
No, there were multiple witnesses in every case at Vandenberg.
Okay. So, Chief, did that spread like wildfire throughout the ship in the next day or two, what you guys had seen?
No, sir. It didn't spread throughout the ship, but it spread throughout ICC-1 conversation. As you do your turnover, we talk about it, but it didn't go further than just the watchstanders that stood watch on the bridge and in ICC-1. So it did move around there throughout a few days.
I'm kind of surprised. Stuff usually spreads around the ship pretty fast. Why do you think the rest of your fellow sailors on the boat didn't hear about it?
Potentially uninterest, possibly, with engineers or combat systems like yourself, don't make their way up to the bridge enough to get within sight of the circle of talk about the incident.
Was it hard for you to get permission from the Navy to bring that video?
I myself didn't bring the video. I just saw the video. When I saw the video, I got in touch with Admiral Gallaudet. That's how I wind up knowing about the video itself when I first talked to the Admiral. And you can hear my voice at the back end of the video, and I was like, hey, that's my voice, and I wanted to talk about it.
How long did that encounter take place, Chief?
So the encounter itself, from the time I recognized on my radar to the time after the video ends, was probably about 5 to 7 minutes.
What speed was the object moving at?
When I first witnessed off the port bridge wing the object moving out of the water, what I thought was originally just a light on the water, something on the horizon, and surfacing and going into the air, I then knew it was an air contact. But as an air controller myself, I started thinking and going through kind of like my checklist in my mind. Could it be a helo? But it's not blinking lights. So I then realized this is something I've never seen before. So the speed itself, just going from the horizon to about maybe 4,000 feet in the air, was very slow, slowly rising. And then it sped up. I'm not an expert at, knowing specific speeds of aircraft just by visual eye, but I would say probably 1-2 Mach instantly into the rest of the formation. I didn't notice visually with my own eyes the other 3 objects until I went back to my radar and also utilized Sapphire to see that, in fact, there were 4 total. And then again, when they all left after a certain amount of time, it was nearly instantaneous.
So you spotted it visually first, Chief, and then went back to your radar, or did you guys spot it on radar first?
Radar first, because that was my watch station.
And then you went out to the port bridge wing, is that correct?
Correct, to verify what I saw on my radar.
What range was it at, Chief, when you were able to see it visibly?
I would say about 7 nautical miles, 7 to 8 nautical miles of a light from the ship.
Wow. Thank you. I yield back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So we're going to jump ahead exactly 1 minute and go to Representative Burleson. We got like just under 2 minutes for that, and then 3 minutes for the next one, and then we're done. I know it's a long one, guys, but the actual hearing is 3 hours long practically. So we're cutting it down significantly for you, while still trying to give you all the important stuff. We're going 233.38 to 235.18.
Mr. Knapp.
Where was its origin? Where did it start?
Mm-hmm. Oh, Mr. Knapp, in your testimony and in this document, you detail an event that happened in Russia where their nuclear missiles were activated, and we were close to a World War III at that time, which is startling to hear. It's also good to know that as we have investigated the JFK files as well, that we're learning that that there was a document that was sent between Russia. There was an agreement between Russia and the United States that if they were to see some unidentified objects over sensitive sites, that they would report it to each other. Are you familiar with that document?
Yes, I'm also familiar with the rhetoric, public rhetoric between President Reagan and Gorbachev at the time, too, that they traded statements about, wouldn't it be something if we were threatened by something from way outside, how we might work together. I know for sure that they had conversations about it, and I know we did reach an agreement to try to lessen the possibility that us detecting a UFO or group of UFOs would not be mistaken for a bunch of Russian missiles. There were exchanges of that sort that went back and forth.
Yeah, and I can imagine this is, to me, the validity of this document is underscored by the fact that Russia would not want this to be known. They absolutely would not want to know, the public to know, or the United States to know that there was a vulnerability in their missile systems. Yeah. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And, and we had many similar incidents at our nuclear weapons facilities here that have all been sort of swept under the rug, but it's pretty scary when you...
Yeah. And like he said, we talked about it before. It's happened in multiple countries, at multiple bunkers and silos, and it's very, very concerning. All right, our last clip, ladies and gentlemen, is Rep. Burchett at 240.23.
B5 on the chart. That's me. Dylan, knowing you testified to Arrow, are they obfuscating when they claim to have discovered no evidence of extraterrestrial beings, activity, or technology, and are they lying to the American public?
As I said before, it's a manipulation of the public perception. The statement, scientific evidence of extraterrestrials, is a true statement. It is not the truth about what is happening and what we have.
What we have. Is he talking about evidence, or is he talking about
spacecraft?
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'd like to comment on that further. Mr. Knapp, you're getting edgy.
It's splitting hairs. No proof that they're extraterrestrials. What would that proof look like? A piece of kryptonite? What would it be? I mean, we could be talking about different forms of non-human intelligence. I think the dominant paradigm is that they come from outer space, somewhere else, and they have some way that they can cross those vast distances that we can't even imagine doing. But that's not necessarily the answer. So asking for proof of extraterrestrials might not be the answer at all. It's splitting hairs. We don't know where they're from. I don't know anyone who knows the answer for sure. They call them aliens just as a placekeeper kind of a word, but no one in all these programs who've studied this stuff for years, people with much bigger brains than mine, knows the answer for sure.
I've talked to Navy folks that some of the deep sea areas, they think there might be something there that they're here, and I don't know when they got here. Another point that needs to be made is every time, we say we're going to back engineer or whatever you want to call it, these craft, I always say, like, it'd be like if you took I ride motorcycles, but if you took like an Indian or a Harley to the people that came over here on the Mayflower, they'd see a bright, shiny object. They might polish it. They might get it started. I doubt they could. They couldn't work on it. They couldn't put fuel. They wouldn't be able to have the capability of putting fuel in it. I just think that's we're scratching at something that we don't have any knowledge of, and that's why it's just taken so dadgum long. But they do know, first one that cracks that code, it's over. I mean, it's energy, it's power, it's everything. Yeah. And I worry too that in the wrong hands that they do that, they keep it from the rest of us because they're so invested in whatever energy sources we have here that their billionaire buddies are going to profit, and they can't retool because they know once it's out on the internet, it's over. And so I think there's a lot of things going after it, and I think that's why the move to discredit folks is so rapid too. I think they point to them and they put the dogs on them, and it disgusts me.
There's a price to be paid for that too. The Russians and Chinese are trying to figure this out as well, but they don't have the same kind of stigma. They tell their best scientists and engineers, get in there and work on it. And they've been doing it for a very long time, might have a head start on us. Here, we don't have our best scientists and engineers working on it because they've been told it's nonsense. The stigma is very real for people like that.
And that's absolutely it. And that's really what it comes down to is the stigma of having anything to do, even believing that these things are real is a stigma in the service, in the civilian community. I mean, look how many, when I was a kid, man, they had the made for TV movies all the time where somebody gets kidnapped by aliens and they do, stuff to them, and they're always making fun of them. That's just the general consensus. The movie Independence Day. Did you see Independence Day?
Independence Day. I've seen E.T. too.
Yeah. I mean, it's just an example. Interesting side note. In E.T., I just saw this the other day. In E.T., the little boy, Elliot, right? He had Star Wars figures. And then when they were going to trick-or-treating, right? Somebody was dressed as Yoda. And that's the only one he stopped at and looked at and tried to interact with. There's a fan theory that it's because Yoda is actually known to his people because they were a part of the Star Wars mythos, the Star Wars stuff, right? And actually, E.T.'s people can be seen in the Senate when they were doing the big Galactic Senate scenes. So just a little piece. Look it up, guys.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I've never seen Star Wars, but I've seen E.T.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, we gotta get you some movies, man. We gotta get you some movies. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. I know it was kind of a slog. We're at an hour 43, but critically important stuff, man. And in my opinion, this is look, either one of several things is true. Either this is all bullshit and it is engineered by someone or something to mislead us, or kind of a sidestep of that or a subclass of that, a rogue agency or group of individuals has access to technology that they don't want to share, and they're using that to look at the water engine. This guy came up with an engine that ran on H2O. He was killed shortly thereafter. I mean, these things happen, man. That you don't think these people are going to let their multi-billion, in some cases, multi-trillion-dollar empires go without a fight, do you? Come on. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for sticking with us. We appreciate it. And we'll be back, we hope, in a couple of weeks to do another video and talk about some more stuff. As always, God bless you. God bless Indiana. And God bless the United States of America. We need it. See you soon.